Welcome back to All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. My name is Ty Patton. Week 9 is upon us, and in this video, I will share my research and strategy for quarterbacks to target in Week 9. As I do for every position, I like to take a quick look back at the previous week. In Week 8, the top projected quarterbacks were as follows: Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Josh Allen. In comparison, the actual top 5 scoring quarterbacks were as follows. Number 1 was Jones from the Giants, 32.18 fantasy points. Number 2 was Drew Brees, 28.92 fantasy points. Deshaun Watson was number 3 with 27.76 fantasy points. Matt Stafford from Detroit, 27.38 fantasy points. And Jameis Winston from Tampa Bay with 26.34 points. These quarterbacks' teams scored an average of 27 points, and these quarterbacks, the top 5 quarterbacks, they averaged 39.6 pass attempts and 323.4 yards passing in those games. These quarterbacks ranged in salary from 7,100 to 5,800. 3 of the 5 had implied totals of 28 to 30.5 points. That's why I say in most of my videos when I'm breaking down positions, I like to highlight the games that have the higher projected totals, because if these games are going to be the higher scoring, they're going to have the players necessary to do the scoring. Now, that's not where I stop. I obviously look at every game and every matchup, but that's just a starting point for me. The average over-under of the top 5 quarterbacks was 48.7 points, and only 11 points separated the number 1 quarterback from the number 10 scoring quarterback in Week 8. Hopefully you like my new chart I've developed, and I'm going to keep on working with it and adjusting it and adding some things, and I'm going to figure out how to put it in the link. So if you want to look at it, or if you want to just screenshot it and look at it. Green is obviously the best in each category. Yellow is kind of neutral, and red is obviously the worst. The quarterbacks I'm targeting in Week 9 are going to be highlighted on the left in green. And this chart, what it does is it tells you why. When I go through and I'm looking for quarterbacks and the other positions as well, I'm going to use similar charts. This chart will kind of tell you why I'm targeting those particular players. For quarterbacks, I'm interested in attempts per game. I'm looking for the favorites. I'm really interested in the ones that are home favorites. I like the ones with the higher game totals, and I always look at the matchups. What teams are giving up the most points to whatever position that I'm talking about. So these are the quarterbacks that I'm going to be targeting in Week 9 and why. And you can look over the chart. I am going to figure out a way to put it in a link below, or send it over to my Twitter. By the way, you can follow me on Twitter at Winning About. Instead of About Winning, it's Winning About. And I'm going to try to get this there. For now, if you want to just screenshot it and use it for your own reference, feel free to do so. The first quarterback that I'm interested in is Russell Wilson. You'll see he's $7,100, which is the highest salary on the board. He also is in the game with the highest game total on this particular slate. 6-point home favorite. Tampa Bay is number 2 against the rush, which kind of makes me like Wilson a little bit more than their running game if Tampa Bay is able to slow down their running game. And I do believe that Tampa Bay will be able to put some points on the board against Seattle. It's not the Seattle defense of old, and they just got lit up pretty good by the backup for Atlanta, Matt Schaub, the other day. They gave up, I believe, almost 500 yards in that game. But Tampa Bay's defense is ranked number 26 overall. Like I said, they're number 2 against the run, so they're pretty stingy against the rush. But they're number 31 versus the quarterback position, and they're allowing 23.4 fantasy points per game to the quarterback. As I mentioned, I believe Tampa Bay will be able to score and make things rough on Seattle's run game. I don't believe that Seattle's going to be able to completely shut down Tampa Bay and rely on their running game. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to spend all the way up to that 7,100. I have the salaries highlighted as well, as you'll see here. Red mean, obviously the most expensive. I'll be looking at projected ownership, and right now the early projected ownership actually has Russell Wilson projected as the highest owned quarterback, but that always changes as we get closer to Sunday. And when we do lineup building on Saturday, I'll address the ownership as well. Next is Stafford. He's 6,800. He's in the game with the second highest total on the board, 51. They're running. He's a small road underdog with 2 points, which I do like that when looking at quarterbacks as well. Their running game is going to be led by Trey Carson. So you can see a situation, according to the charts, Stafford's already thrown the ball 35.7 times a game. I wouldn't rule out, if this is a back and forth game, that Stafford could put the ball in the air 40, 45, 50, even more times in this game. With that game total, I think there's going to be some scoring, and I don't think that Detroit's going to be able to do the scoring on the ground. In reference to that as well, their running attack was led by Trey Carson. In week 8, he had 12 carries for 34 yards. Again, Stafford's averaging 35.7 attempts per game, which is the third highest on this slate. Oakland is number 27 defense, allowing 25.1 fantasy points per game to the quarterback. The next quarterback I'm interested in is Jameis Winston. Winston's $6,100. He's averaging 37.6 attempts per game, which is the highest total on the slate. He probably would be a nice pivot off of Wilson. If Wilson's going to be the highest owned quarterback, I'll probably have more interest in Winston. He is a road underdog. Tampa Bay's running game is pretty much non-existent. Game script does lead you to believe that Tampa Bay is going to be throwing the ball around quite a bit with Godwin and Evans. I think that's how they're going to be able to score against Seattle, like I said. And Matt Schaub just put, I believe it's 490 yards on Seattle the other day, and that wasn't just garbage time either. The actual score of that game was 27-20. So I do believe that Tampa Bay will be able to move the ball in the air against Seattle. Next on this chart, you'll see highlighted is Sam Darnold, $5,900. Miami is now without Xavier Howard, which was probably their best defensive player. This seemed more like a game to me where the Jets are going to try to get Le'Veon Bell going. If you listen to the coach talk, he apologized the other day for only getting Le'Veon Bell the ball 12 times, but you can't really put a whole lot into what the coach talk is. Are they throwing off the other team? But this could also be a scenario where they want to try to get Sam Darnold right. I mean, he's had a couple rough games, and this could be a good place to do it. The thing is, if they are able to get out on top of Miami, do they really need to throw the ball around a lot? Miami is number 31 versus the runs, so I'm not sure. That's the concern that I have with Sam Darnold. I'm not really sure how much passing volume is going to be needed in this game. If Miami can do a little bit of scoring, you might see more than the 33.8 pass attempts that Darnold's already putting up. But the reason he is putting up that many pass attempts is because They are oftentimes behind in games, and when they're behind, that kind of causes them to have to phase out Le'Veon Bell. But I do like his price. Obviously, the matchup. Miami's defense is allowing 24.2 fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. They're a 5.5 point road favorite. Kind of a low over under 41 points for the game, which kind of alarms me. But with all the things going against Miami, you definitely could consider Sam Darnold. He'll probably be lower owned than the quarterbacks I've already talked about, so I'll definitely be watching the ownership. Next is Derek Carr. Carr is $5,500. I really love this price and matchup. He has the second highest completion percentage on the slate at 72.1%. Second highest game total of 51. He's at home. Small favorite. Tyrell Williams is back. This could be the potential. This game definitely has potential to be a shootout. And he could be a pivot off of the higher owned Stafford in this game. So I'm definitely going to be watching ownership as I'm. Detroit's defense is allowing 23.4 fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. And I really think this game has the potential to have a lot of points on the board. Detroit's going to have to move the ball through the air. Oakland's not stingy at all versus the pass, and Detroit's not that great against the pass either. They're ranked number 22 overall in defense. They will probably. I'm not sure if Darius Slay will be back this week. That'd be something to keep an eye on to see who he's going to be matched up with. But with Galladay, Jones, and those two kind of rotated. Week before last, it was Jones who went off, and past week, it was Galladay who went off for 2 touchdowns. And in the midst of all that, Stafford is targeting Amendola a lot. But that and all that about Stafford would affect Carr. And as I mentioned, Carr could be a really nice pivot off of Matt Stafford. Next on here is I have highlighted Mitchell Trubisky. $5,000. Very, very risky. Philly is stingy versus the run. They're ranked number 4. And everything admittedly points against Trubisky except Philly's 21st ranked pass defense. I believe this could be a potentially good get well spot for Trubisky. Last year he had a couple games in the middle of some clunkers and showed a really high ceiling last season, and he hasn't had that game. I don't feel like Philly's defense matches up well at all with Allen Robinson or Taylor Gabriel or Anthony Miller. And I think for Chicago to get going, they're going to have to come out and put the ball in the air. That's how they're going to have to move the ball against Philadelphia. It does have a low game total of 43.5 points. And I mean, just looking at this chart, there's only two green spots. That's Philly's defensive rank, and they're allowing 21.4 fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. So there's a lot going against him. This is just my gut feeling, guy. I really like the price, and if I could get a small game build with Trubisky, it could allow me to or game stack with Trubisky. It could allow me to spend that up at some other places that I like this week. I also have interest in Phillip Rivers. I don't have him highlighted. He's $5,100. He's averaging the most attempts per game on this particular slate. He has 66% completion percentage. He's a home underdog of 3 points. 46.5 point game total. Potential shootout with Aaron Rodgers. the Chargers have been giving up some points. So if Rodgers was able to put some points on them, you could see he's like I said, he's leading the slate. Look at this chart: 38.1 pass attempts per game. You get well into the 40s, and he has the potential to be one of the top, if not the top, scoring quarterback this week. Really, really like his price, and could probably get value pretty easy at $5,100. So I just wanted to mention this chart again, and go over it with you. The quarterbacks I have highlighted in green. I will be adding Philip Rivers to the player pool, so I'll be talking about him on Sunday when we do lineup builds. Over here you have the salaries. The red is the highest. Obviously, the yellow is the kind of in between salaries, and the green are the lowest. Projected quarterback or projected points for the quarterback from a site that I use. You see there. This is the opponent's rank versus their defensive rank. This is how many pass attempts per game the quarterback has. As I was just talking about Philip Rivers, you'll see him right here, 38.1. The lowest pass attempts per game right now are like, Matt Moore from Kansas City. He's only got one game. About Ryan Tannehill, 19.5. Completion percentage, highest on the slate is Ryan Tannehill right now, 73.1. And then you have Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins coming in at 72. Completion percentage. Fantasy points per game. This is how many the quarterback is scoring in this line. And then this line, defensive fantasy points allowed. This is how many the defense they're playing is allowing to the quarterback position. This is the line. If it doesn't have a minus, that means they're getting points. Like this game, Stafford, the underdogs are highlighted in red. And this game here, I seen that Indianapolis and Pittsburgh was a pick. I don't know if that's been adjusted, but that was the first point spread I seen. And this is the over and under, and this is the opponents are highlighted, and this is based on the fantasy points per game the defense allows. If it's yellow over here, it's going to be yellow on the team. So it's just a quick chart that you can use to reference when you're looking at the quarterbacks. Pretty much has everything that you need, and these are the things that I'm concerned with when I'm using the quarterback. Obviously, with running back, I'm looking at touches, and wide receivers, I'm looking at targets and a few other things. So summing it up again, quarterbacks I'm going to be targeting in Week 9 are Russell Wilson from Seattle, Matt Stafford from Detroit, Jameis Wilson from Tampa Bay, Sam Darnold from the Jets, Derek Carr from Oakland, Mitchell Trubisky from Chicago, and Philip Rivers from the Chargers. I hope this information is of some value, and again, we will look at quarterbacks on Saturday when we build lineups and break down each game. I want to thank all of you for joining me. Thank you to the guys who have subscribed, slowly trending upward in my subscribers. I really appreciate you tuning in for my videos. I encourage you to post any comments or opinions below. You can follow me on Twitter at winningabout. If you would please share this video, like it, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It really helps me out. I'll be back shortly to do the running back strategy video. Tomorrow I'll do wide receiver and tight end defense special teams. I got a little bit behind because I started working on these charts, and I'm trying to figure out a way that I can put them with a link or something where you can just look at them whenever you want. But for now, if you just want to screenshot them, and I'll be trying to send it over to my Twitter as well. So again, thank you for joining me. My name is Ty Patton. This is all about winning daily fantasy sports, and I'll see you real soon.